Hey everybody, coming to you today with another Bible review. This time we're going to be looking at a brand new translation that just came out back in February. This is the LSV translation. It's the Literal Standard Version. And this is put out by Covenant Christian Coalition. And as you can see here, the Holy Bible at top. This is just a paperback copy. They do have some hardback copies and are going to come out with some general leather copies as well. But this is a literal translation, more so even than your English Standard Version or your New American Standard Bible versions. This one is a remake, so to say, of the old Young's literal translation. Now, this isn't going to be a Bible that you're going to use on a daily basis. This one is geared more toward pastors, teachers, anybody that wants to really take a good look at what the original languages said in the original Hebrew for the Old Testament and some Aramaic, as well as the Greek in the New Testament as well. And so this isn't a Bible you're just going to pick up and read. You're going to use this for deep study, maybe use it to prepare a sermon, something along that nature. So you'll see here on the first page, Literal Standard Version, LSV, first edition, and it is 2020 right here, and it has a little presentation page here as well. All the old books of the Bible, all the New Testament books of the Bible. Now, here's some things that I wanted to point out. This is some of the distinctive features of the literal standard version of the Holy Bible. It's a modern, literal, word-for-word, formal equivalence English translation of the Holy Scriptures. And as you can see here, it is an improvement over previous literal translations, including Robert Young's excellent Young's literal translation. It preserves verb tenses wherever possible. Utilizes the Yahweh in the Old Testament, the YHWH. They wouldn't say Yahweh or even write the name of the Lord in the Old Testament. In the New Testament, of course, they don't transfer that over to the New Testament. The name of God in the New Testament is just as Lord, as you can see right here. And so, like I said, this is the original. This is a translation that is very literal. Generally consistent approach to formal equivalent translation. Most English translations use a broad set of words when translating a single Greek or Hebrew word based on context. They're striving to only use varying words when the context demands it. So it removes a lot of the transliterations that are in the Hebrew and Greek. And let's see. Unlike most translations, justified typography, alignment consistent with the style of the original Hebrew, Aramaic, and Greek biblical autographs. The ancient Caesarea mark is used for easy readability of poetry literature such as the Psalms. Now, two more little points here. Let's see. It does have verses and chapters like the old King James does. And like I said, they use the same text as the King James Version of the Bible, the Masoretic text and the majority text for the New Testament, the Byzantine text for the New Testament. Same text, a couple more. Let's see. Capitalizes pronouns. And then so right here was something that caught my eye. This is the introduction part here. Another translation, why? Now, let me read this. This will just take a second. There have been a slew of new English translations the past half century, which may cause some to wonder why the need for another. The translators agree with the premise that different translations can serve different demographics and different reading levels to maximize exposure to God's Word. In this sense, the LSV is not a competitor to other excellent translations, but is complementary. In other words, you use this with your translation that you normally would. Like I said, this isn't something you're going to just sit down and read. This isn't one you're going to use in a sermon or a Sunday school class or anything like that. And so it continues. As the most literal modern English translation, the LSV is an excellent resource for deep and thoughtful Bible study and research, essentially and interlinear in terms of word-for-word translation, but arranged with English strict sentence structure. At the same time, some newer translations revisions are twisting the Holy Scriptures in order to appease a postmodern, progressive, and secular readership. The LSV is a line in the sand against such perversion. Let God's work speak on its own terms. The LSV has been translated to improve upon what has come before and to ensure that God's word in English is passed along to the next generation. And so, like I say, there's a lot of things that are changed in some of the new translations. Now, a couple of things that I want to point out here, and it does have these little art pictures throughout. Now here, as you'll see in Genesis chapter 1, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Now, you're going to find these bracketed areas. Here's was, here's the, are. These are words that are not in the original text of the Hebrew and the Greek. These are words that are put in to make it make sense in English. So when you see those words in here, understand that those have been bracketed to make you understand those aren't in the original Greek and Hebrew. But so for readability's sake, it's in there so that you can, understand what you're reading. A lot of times, like for right here, for instance, I am dust and ashes. If the am wasn't in there, I, dust, and ashes wouldn't make much sense. And so this is a very big Bible. I'm going to say it's 2 inches by 10 by 7. The text on this one looks to be about maybe a 9. It's got very excellent paper in it, very thick. There's no bleed through whatsoever on the pages. And it is sewn. However, it's a glued and sewn binding. You can see the glue right there, but I did pull it apart a little bit right there in the binding. You can see the stitch marks. Right through there, you can kind of see the stitch marks. And so, like I say, this is a very good companion. One thing I wanted to point out, one of the things I always check for, there was another one of those little art places. But I always go to John 3:16. That's the first text to look at in any Bible. Now let me read John 3:16 to you. Let's see, I'm not in John, I'm in Luke. Hold on a minute. Here we go. John 3:16. For God so loved the world that he gave the only begotten Son, that everyone who is believing in him may not perish, but may have continuous life. Spot on. And so I'm excited about this. I just heard about it, and I contacted the publisher, Covenant Press, and asked if I could have one to review. And, it's great. If you do not read Hebrew and Greek, this is the next best thing. I like that it's updated, and it's updated quite a bit from the Young's literal translation. A lot of the things in the Young's literal translation didn't make sense. But this is a great companion Bible if you're wanting to know what the original Greek and Hebrew said in it. In the English, absolutely phenomenal. In the back, you're going to find the covenant of the CCC, the Christian Coalition, Covenant Christian Coalition. It tells you what they believe. There's some convictions of their organization, some positions. And as far as the group themselves, I don't know much about them. I know they do use the 5 solas here. I haven't investigated any of their more serious beliefs. I was more interested in the Bible itself. But I really like what I've seen so far. I think you can pick these up for about anywhere between $15 and $20 right now, the paperback copies. Like I said, they're coming out. I was told by the publisher when I emailed them that they have the hardbacks and other ones on the way, but it's going to be several weeks before they're going to be out. But definitely worth your time. You can also get this for free if you use software like MySword or a lot of the online softwares. You can go to their webpage and you can pull it up. and I actually downloaded this for my computer that I use my sword on, and got it for free. But definitely a great translation. I like what they're doing here. I hope that you've enjoyed this review. I hope you will check this out. Like I said, it's the literal standard version, and you can get them on Amazon. You can get them on their publisher's page, I'm sure. Just type in literal standard translation, literal standard version, and you'll be able to find this. So make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel, and we'll see you next time. Thanks.